Yo, yo, yo. What's up? This was my swing the other night. I got two people watching. I was kind of showing how I was like, kind of like putting energy into the club with my right hand. And it's hitting good, man. It's good. It's very interesting. Um, Let me see. Let me get rid of this. Get rid of the flyover. Hang on. Hang on. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. So what I was doing was, um, just kind of and I got a really good man. I got some good stuff coming up. I played golf today. My buddy made a tee time at 9 o'clock in the morning. It was 33 degrees when we teed off, and this knucklehead makes a tee time at 9 o'clock. I'm like, did you have somewhere to go later? He's like, no. I'm like, why'd you make a tee time at 9 o'clock? It was like 33 at 9, and it was going up to 44 by noon. And so we played the course. They had some holes closed, so it was like 15 holes they had open. So we played the front nine, and the back nine was actually okay. And then we got done. It was like beautiful. I'm like, let's go play. We played another nine, so we played a third nine, and the last nine was great. Like 44 degrees, but I mean, Jesus God, 33 degrees. It's unplayable. And then the greens are frozen, so you're like hitting to these greens and it's bouncing like to. Yeah, let me turn it. Yeah, I got that one. Okay. Yeah, way too cold. I would recommend. I haven't played a frozen golf course in like 20 years. But he paid for me. It was free. He texted me. He's like, "You want to play? I'll pay it." And I'm like, "All right." But you know, not too smart making a tee time. And there were four guys behind me. There were four kids playing. And I was like, yeah, this knucklehead made a tee time at 9. And they were freezing too. They're like, yeah, we should have waited till later too. I'm like, yeah, you guys are young, so it's okay that you're stupid. But anyway, yeah, man. Anyway, um, I started hitting it good once it warmed up. I cannot swing. I mean, it like not hitting balls and going out in 33 degrees. It literally was like the first five holes were like just painful. So, but I hit it pretty good. What did I do wrong? I actually played a lot of good holes. Um, yeah, I had a good the last nine. I was playing good, and I three putted one hole. I kind of left a putt, so I three putted that, and then I just like got up this real short par three and just kind of hit it. I hit it a little off the green, and I chipped it real close, and I missed that putt. But the last hole was a spectacular par five. I parred it both times. It was a unbelievable par five, man. I mean, I'd hit in the cold. I cannot believe far, how short the ball goes in the cold. Like I'm hitting, like compared to Palm Springs, I was hitting 7 irons from 170, and now I'm hitting 7 irons from 55. Like, so it took me a while to figure that out. Like, and I'm a caddy, I should know that, but you can't believe it. You can't believe how the ball just literally does not go very far in the cold. But so yeah, there's me, and I'm kind of I was doing this to kind of so look at see what I'm doing there. See, I'm just putting a little energy into the club, right? And that's all you're doing. And that's that thing that people are talking about, like this kind of casting motion, and that's it. And you're just like putting a little. It's crazy, I think I'm gonna do a like I'm gonna do. I have a stupid little swing radar, and I'm gonna start doing like what makes the club go faster, because I need to know. Is lag gonna make it go faster? Is giving it that little bit of energy? Is jumping. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start working on speed. And I mean, I don't think that's really my problem, because today I think my driver was not going as far as I want because I was kind of cutting it, you know. and I was hitting it left to right a little bit. And when I turn it over, it goes way farther. Like I hit a couple where I turned it over and I mean, they went 20 yards farther, literally. But anyway, so who's out there, folks? Got any, let's see a show of names. Anyone want to chime in? I know there's football tonight, but I just thought I don't care about football. I watched the Eagles last night. I'm Philadelphia. They stink. I'm sitting there, I'm like watching the Eagles, and I'm watching this game, and I'm like, I just don't have 3 hours to sit and do nothing anymore. Just don't. Like, it's very non productive for me. 3 hours doing nothing. I could jam on my guitar, like learn guitar, do something, anything, but sit there for 3 hours and watch these freaking. I mean, you kind of knew they were going to lose. But driver swing. I was killing my driver here. I wasn't hitting it like this. Pretty funny. Put me there. Driver on the range. Like sometimes I'll hit a drive on the range, and a guy will be like, "Man, that's good," and I'll be like, "Yeah, when I play, I hit 0 like that." It's weird. What it is. I guess it's just you get freer on the range. You're just swinging more free. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But sometimes I started doing it today. Like a couple holes got really wide open. I just like started just swinging out of my shoes. But there's always that kind of insecurity of where it might go if you hit it bad. Like look at that shot. I was pumped right to left. I didn't hit any like that. I hit one like that today. And the guys I was playing with, the one guy, he hits it, he's older. He hits it almost as far as me. It's amazing how far the guy hits it, honestly, for his age. But, I hit it generally 10, 15 yards past him. And the one hole where I just pumped it and I just, turned it over. And he started getting, getting big chest. And he's like, oh, yeah. And then the one hole, I finally hit one. And I was like, at least 30 yards past him. But he hits it far, man. Guys, he's like almost 70 years old. He's a fisherman. I think he's got strong wrists he was a pro fisherman, like casting all the time or something. That's what I think it is, honestly. But he's a pretty big guy. Anyway. So anyone want to chime in? You guys watching football? What's the game tonight? Steelers and see, there's my cut. That one there. God dang it. I get rid of that cut. I like to cut it sometimes, but generally I don't like to cut it. Just kind of playing with my OBS studio here. Since you guys aren't asking any questions, I might as well mess with my trying to figure this out. What do we got here? I'll see you on the go. And my Rory and my damn Rory, take it easy. That's why. I did that. Watch this. Yes, check this out. Watch this. So let me show you. I gotta tell you a story about this thing. Ready? Here we go. Watch.
And we'll see you on
So
the
watch
house.
this. So see this? Let me tell you about that.
Damn, Rory, take it easy.
So everything in there is fake. Like I did it. I did all this. Like that's all like video. Stuff I did, and the Rory swinging the club, that was before AI, before like anything. And that was I did a video for during COVID. It was a thank you video to the club because they kind of like helped us out during COVID when everything was closed. So the video of Rory swinging that club was a video of Rory, and I had to basically mask out Rory's swing frame by frame to get that stupid little thing there, and then I put it on my hand. But I remember distinctly, it was over 500 frames. It was like 560 frames. And I had to you draw the mask and then the software is supposed to kind of form, but it doesn't do it. So you have to literally manually adjust the mask as you go frame by frame. And I just sat there and did it, man. I was using the arrow key and I go next frame and I'd adjust the mask, next frame, adjust the mask, and it was 560 frames. And I did that and I masked that thing out. And that's crazy. And that was quite a video I did. I'm pretty good with video stuff. So, yeah, so if you guys don't know, this course behind me is going to be hosting the PGA Championship in May. And it's where I work. I drive by it all the time. Man, they're clearing it out. It's wild what they're doing. It's wild. I mean, you can see the 18th tee of this course. I can't really fast forward this. I don't think I can. We're on 2 here. This is the second hole. So this second hole, see the trees on the right? They're all gone. All that woods is gone on the right. And you can see all the way across the course. And so they're going to be like this hole. So this is the second. Let's talk about the holes, like the PGA. So this hole, dogleg left, and they're just going to be pounding it right along these bunkers on the left. And a lot of these guys can actually hit it over those bunkers. This hole, you might see the big guys almost on the green. Like it depends on the conditions, but they might be able to drive it close to the green. Honestly, this is a pretty short hole for them. And the hole here, like if you hit it like deep where that pin is, that collection area, it don't stop. Like if you're a foot over, you're all the way down, and you go down that collection area, and it's really hard up and down. It's a brutally hard up and down from down there. But you know what the pros do? They get it up and down. That's what they do. They can't get this up and down, and they do. And now this hole, they narrowed it a little bit from this picture. They took a lot of fairway out of the right, and you can't believe these tour pros from the back tee. These first bunkers on the left, they're going to hit like 3-wood over these bunkers from the back tee. I can't get over them with my driver from the regular men's tees anymore, and they're just going to hit 3-woods kind of in between these bunkers here. And it's a great hole. And you're going to see the pin back right is a sick pin. Like it's like they put it way in the back right corner, and it can cause problems for the best of them. That pin there and here is ridiculous. All the way back on the green, because the green kind of drops off and you go deep. Once again, if you go deep, really hard up and down, but you know what the pros do? They get it up and down. That's one thing I realized. Like when I say, "Oh, that's impossible up and down," then you see the pros do it. I remember in the ladies PJ, right? This is a good story. So it's a great story. So I was caddying for Laura Davies. I'll tell the story. Because I cut this up and put it on Instagram. People love it. So I'm caddying for Laura Davies, and the first 9 of the practice round, our first hole, we were joined up with these 2 Asian girls, and they were painfully slow. And Laura Davies was like, I just want to go. So on the first green, she's like, you mind if I go at it? If I just go by myself. So me and her play the front 9, and it was great. Like it was just me and her walking around, Laura Davies, and it was cool. And so we played the front 9, and she was saying, she was like, oh, my last tournament, I putted real bad, and I was embarrassed how I played, and I was like trying to pump her up and stuff, because this is my lady that I had for the ladies PGA, and she ended up making the cut. She hadn't made a cut in like 10 years in a major, but so we make the turn and we get to the back nine, and they're sending groups off the back, so she can't just go. So they join us up with two girls, right? So they join us up with these two girls, and we start playing the back nine, and we go down 10, and we're on the 10th hole, and the one girl, this like kind of like small Asian looking girl, she's like dropping balls with the hardest chip. Like this chip is so hard. She's like flopping it like to 2 feet, like one after the other. I'm like, oh my God. Like I've never even seen anyone hit that shot like that, And she did on the next hole. Like she picked the hardest chip on the hole and just started like chipping it close. I'm like, wow, But she was hitting it really bad, and she was hitting it like crap. Both those girls were hitting it like crap. And Laura Davies was hitting it great. I mean, she was hitting it really good. So we get on the 13th hole, and Laura Davies, that's where Laura Davies said to me, she goes, I had this shot where I take the grass and I like hit the tee, and I'm like, yeah, do it, because I'd heard about it, like where she hits it off the deck kind of. And that shot was money for Laura Davies. She couldn't miss it. Like that was the only shot she did not miss the whole time. She hit on 2 holes where she would like kind of hit it off. She'd make a little divot in the tee and hit her driver off the deck. This was one of them. So this was one of them here. And she would hit that driver shot, and she'd tee it up on the dirt, or the tee rather, and just rip this cut on this dogleg right. But so on this 13th hole, she hits it, and she hits like a wedge up there like 5 feet. And it's like, it's obviously going in for birdie. And we're up there on the green, and these 2 other girls are like back there looking for balls. I mean, they were hitting it so bad. And I'm trying to pump Laura Davies up. So I'm like, man, I said, you had some career, didn't you? Like, didn't you have like 70 some tour wins? Because of course I looked this stuff up before I had her. So I'm like, and she goes, yeah, 78 tour wins. And I said, a bunch of majors. And she's like, yeah, 8 majors. And, I'm trying to pump her up, and I point back at these 2 girls, and I say, see these 2 girls? They're never going to have a career like yours. And she goes, that's Daniel Kang. She's number 2 in the world. And I'm like, no, I didn't know that. Because I'm like, I don't really watch ladies golf, because at the time I really didn't. So yeah, it was Daniel Kang. And that's the one who was getting up and down. And like her short game was sick, but she was not hitting it well at all. And so it's Daniel Kang, and she's cute. She's cute. But so every word out of her mouth is the F word. I mean, it's like F and this, F and that. It was hilarious. Like, I wish I could have videoed Daniel Kang just letting the F bombs fly. So we get on the 15th hole, and they had a whole, like, this was a practice round, and they had the course set up too long for the women. It was just set up too long. And she gets on, it was like basically the men's tee. And Daniel Kang gets up to tee up, and behind her is this KPMG sign, and it says par 4, like 437 yards, like for women, like it's insane. And she turns around and she looks up and she goes, "This is an effing par 4." She goes, "What the F are they trying to do to us?" And then she gets this like real serious look on her face, and she goes, "I hope they set this place up as hard as they effing can," like that. It was funny as hell. So, and then she actually, as it turns out, in the tournament, she was doing really well. Like I was watching on TV, and I think it was like Saturday, the second to last day, she was in it, and she bogeyed like the last 3 holes, like 16, 17, 18. And I watched her walking off the 18th green. I'm thinking, man, the F-bombs are flying now, because she was pissed. But yeah, it was cool. So yeah, then on 18, the par 4, there's a fairway bunker on the right. And Laura Davies, who's still at 56 years old, is just one of the top, she was one of the top 10 longest hitters out there at 56. And she just pounds it over this fairway bunker. And Daniel Kang gets up, and she's like ready to tee off, and she just kind of stops, and she looks up, and she goes, "Can I get over that fairway bunker?" And everyone at the same time goes, "No," like that. It was fun. She goes, "You F me up, like pointing to Laura Davies. It was great. But that was fun, man. Lord, it was like during COVID, and I was good because it was like I didn't have to deal like no crowds and just out there. And so this hole here, uh, you can hit it in the other fairway on the ninth fairway. And we were walking up nine, and Laura Davies goes because she couldn't hit this fairway. She kept kind of hitting it left, and she was worried about like hitting it left because there's a hazard on the left. And on the final day, she goes, she's walking up nine. She goes, you think I should hit it over here tonight? I said, I wouldn't look good on TV. Like, so she gets up and she pounds it literally just short of this pond on the left. And she hit frickin' lob wedge in. I mean, I've never even seen anyone. I mean, it was the ladies, but she was playing like they had moved the tees up some because they had it set up too long. But she was playing like what the forward tees are for the men. And it was windy. I mean, it was a lot of wind behind her, but she hit a lob wedge into that hole. And when I first started the tournament, so there were three of us, three caddies who got bags in that tournament. And my other two friends, you know, the one guy's a mini tour player. He got a really good girl. And then the other guy, he got some girl like Solheim Cup, you know, two good players. And I was like planning on taking the week off. You know, I'm like, I just want to play golf, you know, because they're having this tournament. And my boss calls me up and he goes, do you want a caddy for Laura Davies? And I'm like, not really. Like, you know. And then I called my friend Greg and he goes, who passed away, rest in peace, Greg. He goes, she'll be done in 2 days. She never makes a cut like that. And I'm like, all right. So, you know, and then actually, I didn't even have a choice because I told my boss I'd think about it. He wouldn't even let me think about it. He's like, you're doing it. So I take her bag. And it turns out she was the only one of the three to make the cut. And of course she finished like almost last place. But it was amazing. So she was like, she shoots Laura Davies on the driving range. Looks like she's going to shoot 65. She hits it as good as any of those girls. And then she goes out there and she shoots 75. And the first day, Thursday, she goes out and she shoots 75. And so Friday, she's got to play a really good round to make the cut for the weekend. So she starts off a bogey double. We start on the back nine. She starts off bogey double. And I'm just like, oh my God. You know, it was, and I just put my head down. I just say, where I just kept walking. And she's 3 over after 2, and she finished even par that day. She freaking went 3 under the rest of the way. And it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And I mean, she had a putt, you know, it was like, because, you know, Laura Davies is like, she's Ladies Golf Hall of Fame, man. She's as good as, she's unbelievable. And super nice, too. Super nice. But, and, you know, it's amazing, you know, 56 years old, she's out there playing with these, like, young girls, and she just gets along with them so well. It's like, and they just respect her so much. You know, when I said that to her I said, yeah, this girl will never have your career. And she's like, yeah, you know, she's number 2 in the world. Like, I said, well, she's going to make more money. And she goes, yeah, she already has. Like, you know, the girls make so much more money than she ever make. But they're not going to win 78 tournaments. That's unbelievable. She won 78. I think it was over 78, I think. 78 tour wins and 8 majors. And Daniel Kang ain't going to do that. So. But Daniel Kang is very short compared to Laura Davies. Daniel Kang's that's why she practices her short game, I guess. But she's a short hitter. But that's when I caddied for that couple weeks before. Well, yeah, like a week and a half before Carlotta Saganda. And I caddied for her. And that was that ridiculous round where she shot like 66 from the men's tees. She shot 66. Like, unbelievable. But I was talking to her coach. Her like coach was with her that day, and he was telling me, he goes, "There's only like on the women's tour, there's like 8 girls who hit it really really far, and then the rest of them are, you know, they're hitting like 230, 240 max." So, but then there's like those 8 girls who just, and Laura Davies is one of them at 56 years old, and I don't even know if she plays anymore, but yeah, it was cool. So she made the cut. And she said she made just enough money to fly back home. But, yeah, so that's my story. But it was awesome. This was the hole here. This is the hole where Daniel Kang's like, is this a par 5? This hole, when you watch the men play, it's I think it's par 4. They can probably stretch it to 530. And these bunkers on the right, like from the regular back tees, they're hitting it way over these bunkers on the right. They'll hardly, I don't even know if they'll reach these bunkers on the right. They're going to be hitting, I don't care how long they are. Like the best of them might luckily hit a 4-iron into this thing. And I don't think they're going to get any closer than that. But a lot of them are going to be hitting, long close. It's 500. You can't even believe it. They put a new tee back there, and you're on this tee, and you're like, and there's these like cross bunkers that are like a joke from every other tee. And you're like, I could never even get over these cross bunkers, So it's wild. And the next hole's a par 5. They're going to be hitting less clubs at par 5 because the next hole they were going to stretch out. That's 15 right there. 16 they were going to stretch out, but they decided not to. They were going to put a tee on the other side of the fairway of the 12th hole. And so yeah, this is 16. So they're going to be hitting 7-iron into this. I had a kid this year, this hole, he was a pro from a local club, and he drove it, and they narrowed this fairway. Like this isn't, the fairway's much more narrow. They narrowed it for the tournament. It's like kind of the only way to stop them, which I don't even know it will. But this kid drove it, and it was hilarious. He gets it in the fairway, and he wasn't playing good. He wasn't having a good day. And he had 200 yards to this par 5. And his name was Zach. And I put the bag down, and he was longest hitter. He was longer than when I played for Bubba Watson, okay, or when I was out with Bubba Watson. So he hits the drive on this par 5, and I put the bag down. I'm like, yeah, you're 200, and it's 200 to the front left pin. And I see him pull the club, and I go, you just pulled 8-iron, didn't you? And he goes, that's right. I'm like, yeah, let's go. He hits an 8-iron from 200, and there was like a little wind helping, not a lot. It's this high draw 8-iron, 200 yards to like 6 feet, and makes it for eagle. And I'm like, I said, Zach, I know you're not having a good day, man, but you gave me a story I can tell for like ever. Because it was wild. Dude, you can't believe it, man. I mean, 200-yard 8-iron, just like high draw. Wild. But this kid's arms, on the first hole, he was so tall. He was like probably like 6'5". And I said, on the first hole, I'm like, what's it like trying to hit a driver when your arms are longer than the actual driver? And he goes, yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. But he didn't hit it good. There was a kid in the group who was hitting 7-iron 170 who was hitting it way better than this kid. But yeah, ridiculously long. So this is 18. They put it back tee. It's going to be 500 yards. And what's cool is they cut these trees down. Like this hole, like I don't know if there'll be cars on that road. They'll probably have that road blocked off, but you'll be able to see like Rory teeing off from the road. Like you can clearly see the tee from the road. So it's sick, and it's like, oh, man, yeah, it should be pretty exciting. But I'm gonna watch it on TV. That's about it. I'm not gonna go there. Anyway, I've talked enough. Anyone got any questions, comments, concerns? Why don't you throw me a super chat, like $20 or something? No super chats. Come on, give me a little. I got Hey, oh my God! It says I got 8 people watching. That's like a full house for me. I'm just, I'm just doing these live streams. I'm going to do them till I get like, someday I figure I might have, like 15, 16 people. I just like talking, but I like when people ask me questions and talk back. So hey, obviously you're golfers. Tell me about your golf game. What's the worst part about your golf game? How about some video? Give me an idea for video. What do you want? What do you want to know for your video? I'm watching, I think in 2023, because I know it was 2023 because I saw the email. I saw Brian Manzella, who's a great instructor. Brian Manzella had this. it's kind of like his Manzella certified course for instructors, and it was like $600 for the course. And I emailed him. I'm like, dude, I'm a caddy. I ain't got $600. I said, can you give me a deal? And he gave it to me for $300. And I watched a lot of it. I didn't watch all of it. And I pulled it back up. I had to email him because he changed the password, and I just started watching it again. And he's an interesting dude, man. Brian Manzella. Brian Manzella he said he started teaching in, I think, 82, but he worked with Ben Doyle, and he had a lot of disagreement with Ben Doyle on like how to teach people. And he even said that he said that the whole, like, some of the things with Ben Doyle, like, especially, Ben Doyle used to think that you push the shaft, like this kind of like forcing the shaft, and that. So what happened with Brian Manzella is, he hooked up with a Steve Nesbit, and he was they got this guy. He was a scientist, and he was a biomechanics scientist, and it was Manzella and Michael Jacobs, who's, I think, number one instructor. I think he's the number one instructor right now. Or last time Golf Digest did their thing, he was number one. It's Jacobs 3D, and what they did was they hired this guy, Nesbit, and he was a biomechanics expert, and Nesbit, who had worked in other sports with these like sensors, putting them on like a baseball bat, and doing this stuff, and they had him work on the golf swing. So Nesbit takes these long hitters, because they wanted to know what the forces were that were being applied to the handle of a golf club, and so they hired this guy, and and Manzella had dealt with Ben Doyle, who was like, he said he was all into this, like, kind of like pushing the shaft, like this. They thought you kind of, this whole thing of like, like pushing the shaft through impact, and that they thought that was a force because you saw like shaft lean, and you saw the handle go forward through impact. So that's what they thought. So they get Nesbit, this scientist, and Manzella goes, this guy, he'd been teaching for like 20 years, and he goes, when Steve started drawing that stuff up on the board, like what was actually happening when you swing a golf club, he's like, man, I was wrong for 20 years. He's like, I was like, oh Christ, So Nesbit figured out the actual forces that are applied to a golf club, and it's actually, it's pulling in. They're pulling, like if I'm pulling a handle, and that was, and then he talks about how that pulling in is what really accelerates the club, and then it goes way beyond that. He actually has. Manzella gets pretty deep on, he takes a club, he puts an airplane on the club, and you have alpha, beta, and then gamma is round, the axis of, so there's alpha torque, beta torque, and it's pretty fascinating, and it really is, and Michael Jacobs, supposedly Michael Jacobs is not all that intense about those things, but, it really is amazing, because if you think about it, like, if you look at the golf swing, it really comes down to the forces that are being applied through the handle. Like all the others, like the body and all, it's just like how you're applying forces to the club. And when people want lag, that's all it is. It's like, what forces are you applying to the club? And Manzella talks about, you can, like, and he even talked about this kind of like casting motion, how you can kind of put that casting force on it, but it still won't, you can't like outcast the correct sequence if your sequence is correct. So, but I'm gonna get the speed radar out, and I'm gonna go, and I'm just gonna start figuring out what's gonna make my club go the fastest. And I don't know how fast at 61 years old I can get a club to go. But I mean, I work out hard. I do everything I can physically so I'll figure it out. But I'm gonna see what works, because there's so much like, and for me, like, I hit it pretty darn far for my age. Like, I'm fine. But everyone wants to hit it farther. That's the big thing. But I started messing with this, like, this kind of casting motion from the top, because I watched it and I'm like, and I was doing it at the range, and it felt good, and it seemed like the ball was going farther. And then up pops a video of this guy who's hitting at 330, and he's not talking about that at all. He's actually talking about, like, on the downswing, he wants the club to almost hit your right shoulder. Like, that's total lag. That's not. These other guys are talking about kind of like tossing the club away from your shoulder, and this guy's talking about, like, it's mind numbing. It really is. And I would just say, make damn sure you can get lag, okay? Because, people who cast the club are, they're the villains in the game of golf. They stink. Like, if you just throw the club from the top. But it's getting, I don't know. I don't really know, honestly. And you think but I think I know a lot. But it's like, I'm going to figure it out. Cast it, lag it. But I have figured out that, and I think what's the most important thing is like, the forces you apply to the handle. And I think I figured out something really good for that. But that'll be an upcoming video. But anyway, maybe people don't talk. Somebody ask a question. He's gonna listen to me. It's a great hole here. This is my favorite hole in the course behind me, number 7. Beautiful hole. But yeah. So I'm watching these Brian Manzella videos, and he has one video that is it's actually 2 videos, and it's like it's like 3 hours of the history of golf instruction. And I watched the one was almost 2 hours, and I sat and watched that thing, and I didn't get up my chair once. I was like transfixed to this video. Like, this guy, like worked with Ben Doyle, and he went through the whole history of golf instruction, and he went through all these guys that I learned from when I first started playing golf. So when I first started playing golf, it was in the order of, Jack Nicklaus, Golf My Way, Ben Hogan. That was where I started. Ben Hogan's 5 Fundamentals, Jack Nicklaus, Golf My Way. And the guy who really helped me the most was Jimmy Ballard. So when I first started playing golf, I was like, I would watch Nicklaus with like the perfectly still head kind of thing and like hanging back when you swing, like that reverse C finish. And I used to just hang back. And I'm left-handed playing right-handed. And I'm not used to moving in that direction. Like, athletically, I would never move from right to left. I would always move left to right. So I was always hanging back. And then I saw Jimmy Ballard, and, Curtis Strange hit the scene. And Curtis Strange's head was moving like 6 inches when he swung. And they were like, oh, you can't do that. And it was like, and then he won like 2 U.S. Opens in a row. And Jimmy Ballard was teaching like you can move, as long as you don't like sway off your back foot, you can move laterally. And then he also talked about kind of like the right hip going forward. And so I started swinging that way, and all of a sudden I could actually move in the direction from right to left, and it was so helpful. And that was the best thing about Jimmy Ballard. So Jimmy Ballard was real good. But also Jimmy Ballard was real big on the gloves under the arms, like the arms pinched against the body. And my swing looked very like, it was just crumpled, And I was a very short-hitting, straight, very consistent, just hit it down the middle, hit it very solid a lot, and that's kind of what you get with that. But yeah, and then Jimmy Ballard, and then so Manzella went through the whole thing, and he talked about, Golfing Machine, which, I don't know if you guys know Golfing Machine. Golfing Machine is Homer Kelly. He was a mechanical engineer who wrote a book on golf. And it was kind of like, for a lot of these guys, it was the Bible of golf instruction. And it's the impossible read. You cannot read the Golfing Machine. You can't read. There's no way you can read the Golfing Machine. There's literally like degrees in the Golfing Machine. They have classes. It's like a college course to learn the golfing. That's how it was. And I knew a guy who had a degree in the golfing machine. And DeChambeau was a big golfing machine guy. And DeChambeau was, you know, but so Homer Kelly writes this book, and it's an impossible read. And I knew a guy who was an engineer himself, and he goes, I can't even read it. He goes, the book is set up like an engineer manual or whatever. Like it's impossible to read it. But it was, for golf instruction, it was like the Bible. And Homer Kelly was not a great golfer. He was like a 7 handicap at best. But he wrote this book. He understood like levers and a lot of it's great. But if you guys are into geeking out on the golf swing, there was a guy, Lynn Blake, and I think he's probably the most well-known golfing machine guy. And Lynn Blake is, they called him Yoda because he was like the golfing machine guru. And you can find his old videos, and he's fantastic. And I remember he did the thing on the hinge actions, and I'm going to do a video on hinge actions because it's very important. I remember watching Lynn Blake talk about hinge actions, and I'm like, this is way too much for me. I'm like, I don't need to know this. You know what I mean? It was like, and it seemed very complicated at the time. And he actually he creates these hinges with wood, and he puts it on an angled plane, and he shows you like how this stuff works. And I was like, back then I was probably smoking a lot of weeds. I was like watching it like, I don't get it, But my comprehension level wasn't very good back then. So I'm like all stoned watching this dude do hinge actions. And I'm going, I don't need to know this. And now here I am, 20 years later being like, man, this is huge. Like hinge actions that's basically it. Like hinge actions are how you release a golf club. It's everything. I mean, when you hear Tiger talk about, how he works a golf ball, he's like, well, I do it with my hands. Well, that's hinge actions. It's like, how is he moving his wrists and using his hands through the shot? And that's hinge actions. And the most important hinge action, to me, so there's horizontal, angled hinge action, and vertical hinge action. And vertical hinge action is a bunker shot. And if you can't do vertical hinge, you can't hit a bunker shot. You're going to stink. And I would say of all the people I see who stink out of a bunker, the first tip I would give them, and it's like, it's a little painful to watch people hit bunker shots and not even know this. Like, the face should actually almost be opening through the shot. That's a vertical hinge action. It's almost like, he used to call it, I think he said it was a reverse roll. So the face it's a reverse roll. And I remember I did this silly thing. I was hitting flop shots. It was like at night, and I was hitting flop shots off a mat at the range, and I put reverse roll flop shot because that's what it was. I was reverse rolling the club to hit this flop shot, and I don't know if like playing golf if I do that like actually, but someone commented like, whoa, and I'm like, dude, you don't even know what a reverse. You have no clue. He's like criticizing me. Oh, you can't hit flop shots off a mat. I'm like, well, I can do it off grass too, but it was like at night, dude. But anyway, but yeah, Lynn Blake is awesome, and it's funny because Lynn Blake, if you put his swing up against Hogan's, like he used to put his positions, he's like almost identical to Hogan. Like his swing is like Hogan. It's wild, but yeah, he still teaches. Lynn Blake still teaches. But the golfing machine is, it's good. I know Manzella, he got off it. He's still some of it, but a lot of people have gotten off the golfing machine. But it's great. It's not something you would want to disregard at all. But anyway, so that's it. So I'm watching Manzella videos, and I think I'll learn some more. But he's good. I think Manzella's probably like a top 20 instructor. But one thing I'm going to try, he talks about, his big thing is the grip. And he talks about gripping the club like perfectly in your hand so that your fingers are 90 degrees to the shaft. That's like his big thing. He says if you take every golfer on the planet and give them that grip, 95% of them will get better. And I've tried it, and it doesn't feel good to me. And my fingers are not so basically like when you hold the grip, your fingers will be 90 degrees to grip. It's almost like if you're holding an umbrella. Like if you hold an umbrella and then put it down. And I learned from, Jimmy Ballard was like you hang the club in these fingers and the forefinger, and then you kind of get a little bit of an angle in those fingers. So I've been watching this. I watched Manzella today. I'll try it. I'm gonna try it at the range because that's just what I do. I'll try it, but it never felt great to me. It always felt like um, I'm gonna do a video on grip, and so when I do my video on grip, and I'm gonna do a video on low hands versus high hands. So that's a good one. Like at address, do you want your hands low or high? And it's crazy because like Hogan, Sevi, DeChambeau, even Tiger had more high hands at address. I see more high hands than low hands. But a lot of these people on YouTube have really low hands at address. And so that's going to be an interesting video. And Mac O'Grady, who taught the really low hands for, I don't know, freaking 20 years. He taught like Morad. Um, and he taught these low hands. And I have this video of one of his assistants. And it was like after Morad, and Mac O'Grady started going with the high hands. And he's like, man, I never hit it better in my life. And he had taught low hands for 20 years. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. But anyway, so no one's going to talk, and I'm going to take off then. Um, anyway, so. Alrighty then. All right then. Signing off, folks. Have a good night.